last episode, I went through the psychology of how I closed $500,000 in 11 months without a single sales call. Today, I want to run you through the exact templates, structure, and approach to opening a conversation with someone on LinkedIn, whether you've never chatted to them before, or whether they've actually already shown you an intent signal that suggests they may be interested in your service or product. The purpose of the DM open is to get your foot in the door so that you're able to actually talk to them, and it gives you the leverage to actually book a meeting with them and go on to close them. It is the most important part of sell by chat. If you mess up the open, the prospect won't reply and you won't even get a chance to try all your skills of pre-qualifying and trying to book the meeting with them. As I mentioned, there are a few ways to start a conversation with someone, one of which can be from a warm intent signal. So this might be something like they liked your post, they commented, they sent you a connection request, they viewed your profile. This is all intent that they have shown that they may be potentially interested in what you do. How do you capitalize on that though? If you release what is called a lead magnet, so I went through this in the last episode, so a little pocket of value of your service that reveals a problem, solves a problem, but then reveals another problem. And so naturally it leads into your main offer and then upselling into it. The way that you do a lead magnet on LinkedIn is you do a post and you say, hey, I closed $500,000 in 11 months using these exact DM templates. If you would like them, comment X word below. That is how you put out a lead magnet. What people will then do is they'll comment below the X word or whatever call to action word you would like, and they'll comment. You then use that as leverage to initiate the conversation with them. An example is, hey name, awesome, appreciate you messaging DM or call to action word. Just had a look at your profile and see you're posting pretty consistently. I particularly liked your post about XYZ, which got some traction. You must be generating quite a few inbound leads. Mind if I ask a couple questions to see if I can potentially help before locking in the chat? This may sound quite quick to going into the pitch and asking some questions, but because they've opted in for a lead magnet, they've already shown a lot of intent that they're actually interested in the value that you can bring. So you can just capitalize on that. You might as well skip to the point. There's no point but beating around the bush. They've given you a signal that they are interested. So capitalize on it immediately. Say, mind if I ask a couple questions, see if I can potentially help before logging in the chat. That is how you initiate the conversation. For each message, it has to be specific to the individual. You've got to make them feel special. And so that is why there is a dynamic variable. So I particularly like your post about X. The more dynamic variables, the more references and specific you are to the individual, the more likely they are to reply. You want to make them feel special and feel as though that DM was written for them. So even though I've only got one in this example, include as many as you can. Look at their banner, look at their headline, look at the posts that they're posting, look at their experience. You can use these as levers for actually starting the conversation and proving that you did your research before reaching out to them. If you receive a message from someone and it seems so specific to you and it feels like it resonates with you specifically, so a way of doing that is through geographical relatability. So in the town that I live in, there is an ice cream shop which everyone knows about. If I outreach to someone in the same town as I'm in and I reference that ice cream shop, it feels special to them because they know the ice cream shop because they're from the same town and they know that I am as well. And so you give a common ground they can relate to. An example of how you could use this when messaging someone from a lead magnet could be, what's going on name, sup from where you are and the weather, for example. So for me, it'd be rainy England. I've just realized I've actually seen some of your content on my feed before. That last post about X was awesome, or whatever it is. If you actually genuinely liked it, say that. I really liked XYZ Insight. You must be generating quite a few inbound leads. Then ask an open question that is generalist. The reason you want to start generalist is because you want to make it easy. If it is really easy to reply to your message, people are more likely to reply to it. So just start with a generalist question. What is if I start creating content on LinkedIn? That is such an easy question, and even though the question has to be easy, as long as the response is more than a sentence, or it has to be more than a sentence, that is a good question to ask. You don't want a question which closes the conversation and has like a one-word answer to. Someone can't reply to what if I start creating content on LinkedIn and say yes. If I said, did you start creating content on LinkedIn because you wanted to build a bigger brand? And they went, yes. It's giving me no leverage in the conversation. So you want to ask a generalist question to begin with. So at the beginning, it's generalist. As you build up more trust with them, as you spend more time with them, you want the questions to become more specific. So by the end, you're asking specific questions about your specific service and whether you can actually help them. But to begin with, start generalist. The other example of how you could start a conversation from someone who showed an intent is through a profile view, a connection request, a comment, or a like. Again, it does follow a very similar structure, but you haven't quite got the leverage that they've opted in for a pocket of value that you have given them. So a lead magnet, for example. If they've opted in for that, they've already shown intent they like what you do. In this case, they haven't really shown you that they like what you do. This would be someone who is more at the top of the funnel. So they're more on this point where they're still scoping out options probably. They understand they have a problem, but they haven't worked out how to solve it yet. So they maybe viewed your profile, they maybe sent you a connection request, they were slightly interested, or they may have liked your post. So this is why you have to do a little bit more work to initiate the conversation. An example of what you could do is very similar. Hey name, what's going on? Sup from your location and the weather. Honestly, I much prefer and then reference the other season. So for me at the moment, hey name, what's going on? Sup from England. It is honestly so warm right now. I don't know how I managed to do it. It's been 30 degrees the last couple of days. I honestly much prefer winter. Appreciate you, and then insert the intent that they have shown. So that's a profile view, connection request, comment, or a like. Hopefully you've gotten some value from my content. You don't have to say that. If you're not posting, don't say that. I had a look at your profile, keep up the consistent posting, or keep up XYZ, or I saw you're working at this place for this amount of time, whatever it is. I particularly liked your post about XYZ. You must be generating quite a few inbound leads. The reason a lot of this is scoped and kind of centered around them posting is if someone posts on LinkedIn, they're engaged with LinkedIn. They're active on LinkedIn. So they're more likely to reply to your message and actually be using the platform consistently. So I would recommend when you choose your kind of ideal customer profile and who you want to outreach to, who fit your scope of your target audience, get people who are posting because they're invested in the platform. They're more likely to reply to, and they're more likely to be on the platform consistently to allow you to build up rapport in a faster time, compressing the trust. And it allows you to also have a consistent back and forth with them over a short period of time, which is what you are trying to do. So if someone's posted and it's consistent, so at least every day or at least every other day, you know they'll get back to your message very quickly. So you're able to build up trust with them and close them or book the meeting with them a lot faster. Hello, good market because you're posting, which is like XYZ post, must be generating quite a few inbound leads, or in this case, insert with what you're talking about. So maybe they're posting and they did a link to their website, for example, and you do website design, you'd be like, oh, you must have got a few inbound leads from your website. If I did, for example, website conversion optimization. It's just a subtle sentence which links to your service or your product. That's what I would recommend. So this message here is from a lead gen company, which I work with. And this is what we sent because we knew that if they said, oh, hey, I haven't got any inbound leads, that immediately gave us a foot in the door and that we could outreach to them and go, hey, are you looking for some potential help? And then again, generalist question, you can adjust this. Just find a question which is easy to respond to. If it is a completely cold connection request or it's a completely cold message, it's slightly different. You have to build up trust slower. The reason is they haven't met you, they're a stranger, and you've got to move them through those 6 gates in a controlled and measured way. So even though it's a cold connection request, you still want to go on something. So an example, and this is like angle 1, is a recent post. Hey, first name, just saw your post about XYZ topic. Honestly, it reminded me of when I insert a personal story, super relatable, thanks for sharing. And that could be in the connection request. If you can link it to a personal story, that is a way of building up more trust. You know when someone's a bit more vulnerable with you and they maybe share something that's going on in their life or whatever it is, they instantly trusted you a lot more, A, because they were vulnerable, but on the flip side, because they were vulnerable with you, you probably trusted them a little bit more because you knew more about their life and there wasn't so much uncertainty around that friendship or that relationship that you had with them. So talk about the post that they posted about, link it to a personal story about yourself in some way, shape or form. It will give you a lot more leverage and they're more likely to buy into you and your story, which is how you build up trust a lot faster and compress it into a shorter time frame. Angle 2 is a mutual connection. Now, if you have Sales Navigator, you can do this very easily. But hey, first name, one of my clients, name one of your clients in the same niche, mention they've seen your content, thought you might be someone worth connecting with directly. In Sales Navigator on LinkedIn or in some sort of tools, you can get your client that you worked with in the past, input them into the connections of section, and then it will show you all the connections who are connected to your client. This gives you so many people to actually outreach to, and you have the leverage of going, hey, I saw you're connected with this person. How do you know them? That's it. Short, sharp, concise, to the point. And if they go, oh, I know them because of XYZ, I'd be like, oh, I've been working with them for like the last 6 months. I just helped them do XYZ result. I actually filmed a video of how we did it. Would you like me to shoot it through to you? And so in this short space of one message, not only have I established trust by working with someone they know, because for example, a referral is the strongest way to someone to enter your business because they've come through someone that they trust. So you've got to replicate that in LinkedIn. So not only in that one message have I established trust by having a mutual connection, I've also established trust by giving them a pocket of value, by giving them a lead magnet. Hey, been working with them for the last 6 months, just helped them book 25 meetings. I filmed a short 10-minute video of how we actually did it. Would you like me to shoot it through too? And of course they're going to say yes, because they are in the same niche, they know the person, and you can prove to them that they can help. And they're probably thinking, oh, I want to book 25 meetings, for example. And so they're going to watch the video and you're going to give them that pocket of value, which they want. Angle 3 is slightly different. It's if you're re-initiating conversation from the past. So, hey, first name, I know this is a bit random, but I wanted to reach out first. We've already chatted before, hope you're doing well, or whatever it is. Just short, sharp, simple, to the point. Angle 4 is weather and geographical relatability. Hey, first name, I actually have a team member heading to X city next month, wherever they're based. Any local tips or hidden gems you should check out? He's a big explorer, or they're a big explorer, whatever it is. And so you just find a way of linking it to where they are. So if you're in London, for example, and you outreach to people, or even refine that even further, if you're in Mayfair, which is a place in London, and you only outreach to people in Mayfair, you can reference things specific to Mayfair. And that is a way of finding common ground and something they can immediately latch onto and resonate with. So like the example I used earlier, in my town, there was an ice cream shop that everyone goes to. If I reference that in the conversation, it makes them feel special and go, oh, I'm in that town as well. I've been to that ice cream shop. So is this person. You build up the trust much faster. And then finally, we've kind of already gone through the lead magnet or value drop. Another example could be, hey, first name, I was on a call with a client today explaining how to approach DMs as a niche, or obviously just insert this with what your service is. Actually run a few of your style. So I recorded a quick breakdown and put it into a doc. Would you like me to send it through? So this is where you're giving value up front, and that is how you are getting your foot in the door with the client. Those are the way to start a conversation. That is the warm approach and the cold approach. I want to show you now just some very quick real life examples of this working, because I always find it's better to see it and believe it. An example is this one. At this point, I was messaging from an account of someone who was based in Sydney, but hey, first name, what's going on? Something freezing cold Sydney. Honestly, I much prefer summer lol. It's so cold. I'm sure you're probably more used to it in London. Although I have a team member in the UK and he said you guys had a lot of warm weather recently. Might go visit him to experience warmer weather. Lol or whatever. Just been having a look through your profile. I realized I've actually seen a ton of your posts in my feed. I really liked the one yesterday about the truth about LinkedIn. What inspired you to start creating content on LinkedIn? Certainly got the knack for it. And then in this case, this person also opted in for a lead magnet. But if you just remove that lead magnet bit at the bottom, that's a really good open. I've given them a commonality, and I've also given them something they can latch onto and go, oh, yeah, I am in London. It's been really, really warm recently. So you see how you're just finding common ground to initiate the conversation? That's what you've got to do. And this person went on to book a meeting. Another example is, hey, first name, I've just seen your post on 9 mindsets to win. I've been going deep into psychology recently, and after a lot of analysis of myself, I realized that something that stopped me for so long was waiting until I felt ready. So you see how I'm linking it to a personal story. Instead of actually executing and doing shit, it was once I did that, I actually made progress. So again, linking it to a personal story. Took a long time to get to that point though. But anyway, that was a very timely post. Appreciate you writing it, and I want to apologize for only just seeing your previous message before. Again, you can skip that bit. That open at the beginning, you see how specific it is? I'm talking about his specific post, and I'm linking it to a personal story. And then at the end, I was like, hey, I'm actually running a private LinkedIn workshop for European founders next week, where I run through the tools I'm using on how to execute sell by chat. If you wanted to see in more detail the background of how I'm operating, you're welcome to come. Would you like to come? So you could just take the post, link it to a personal story, and then say the question, so the generalist question, or whatever you would like to reach out to them about. Maybe you're running an event or something like that. And finally, the last one I want to show you is, hey, stuff from freezing cold Sydney. I honestly much prefer summer lol. I imagine it's a lot warmer over in Phoenix at the moment. I have a team member called X name who is from Arizona. He was telling me it gets up to 40 degrees where you guys are. I tend to find my perfect balance is around 30. I was just on a call with 2 of my clients and then just at their names. If they're on LinkedIn, you can just do the @ symbol, then insert their LinkedIn profiles. Who I believe you're connected with. Been working with them since July last year. We were running through how to approach selling in the DMs, and I actually hopped off the call and filmed them a 5-day email course, which I put into a Google Doc about how to approach it as a financial advisor. It reminded me of yourself. Would you like me to send it through to you? Might be able to give you some clarity and direction. And they replied yes. And that person also went on to book a meeting. To see how important it is to get the open right, because it gets your foot in the door and it gives you leverage to continue the conversation and the opportunity to book them. That is why the open is so important and why this episode is a little bit longer. In the next episode, I'll run through how to pre-qualify and actually book the meeting. So taking them from the open all the way to the booked meeting and how to do that properly. I will see you in the next episode.